Emma Harper and I were reborn together. In my past life, I was the foster brother she personally chose at the orphanage and later her husband. We loved each other until old age. In this life, when the Harpers beckoned me forward just as they had before, young Emma stopped them. "Dad, Mom, I don't want him anymore. I want this boy to be my brother." She took the boy beside me by the hand, the Taylor family's adopted son who died early in a previous life, and looked at me with icy eyes. "You stole Lucas's life and caused his tragic death. This lifetime, it's your turn to taste the hell he died in." I understood instantly. It turns out that this time, she wanted to be the dragon-slaying hero who rescues the prince. "Will you come with me?" I looked at Mrs. Taylor, standing before me. Then I turned to look at the figure of the person who had been by my side for decades, leaving resolutely with the boy. I nodded. "Fine. In this life, I want to live differently." When I walked out of the welfare home, the Harper family still hadn't left. Seeing me, Emma immediately nervously shoved Lucas into the car and snarled at me. "Ethan Johnson, even if you kneel and beg me, I still won't take you away. The Harper family doesn't welcome you. Thieves like you should stay with the Taylor family that preys on people." She shoved me aside, slammed the car door shut with a bang. I staggered and hadn't yet found my footing. Harper's convoy had already ridden off. The dust whipped up by the exhaust was so fierce it nearly forced my eyes shut. A black Maybach came to a stop in front of me. The car window rolled down, revealing Mrs. Taylor's cold face. "Going to Harper House." I shook my head. "The Taylors are fine." Mrs. Taylor paused, then gave me a faint look. "What's your name?" I replied softly, "Ethan. From now on you will be called Ethan Johnson." She spoke briefly, but I understood what she meant. I quickly got into the car and obediently said, "Okay, Mom." Mrs. Taylor raised an eyebrow, said nothing, and leaned back in her seat to close her eyes and rest. I kept my wits about me and said nothing more. The car pulled into the Taylor's driveway. I followed Mrs. Taylor into the house. I watched her set down her bag, then casually lift her eyes as if speaking to someone. "Sophia Taylor, this is your new little brother, Ethan Johnson." I was stunned for a moment. I subconsciously looked up. Directly across at the second-floor atrium railing stood a girl even prettier than Emma, a face unbearably beautiful. I don't know how long she had been watching from there. I was somewhat taken aback. Sophia from the Taylor family actually looks like this. In my previous life, I hadn't been with the Harper family long when Sophia was sent abroad by the Taylors. By the time I saw Sophia again, many years had passed. By then, she had inherited the Taylor group, but her looks were marred. Because of that fierce face and iron-fisted ways, the business world mockingly called her the female Yama. I curved my eyes and greeted her, Sophia. Sophia, however, acted as if she hadn't heard and kept lying on the railing, her expression distant and indifferent. "Don't mind her, she doesn't talk much." Mrs. Taylor called the butler over to show me around the place, then left. Just as I was about to step out the gate with the butler, like some unseen force, he turned his head and it just happened to collide with the girl's deathly still pupils. My heart skipped a beat. A smile hadn't even risen. Sophia had already withdrawn her gaze first and turned into the room. I've been living with the Taylors for over a month. Other than the first day at the welfare home, I haven't seen Mrs. Taylor again. Instead, Sophia and I occasionally run into each other at the dining table. Every time, I sweetly call out Sophia, but she never responded to me. Still, I didn't mind. Because I was very, very busy. Mrs. Taylor never showed up, but she had still scheduled my classes very tightly. Etiquette lessons, language lessons, commerce knowledge, writing, and it just happened to be summer vacation. Studying from morning till night, every day, so busy I barely touched the ground. Even the housekeeper, Aunt Clara, looked at me with pity when she saw me covered in bruises from falling while learning to ride. "Ethan, do you want to tell Mrs. Taylor to take the day off today?" I put on my shoes and shook my head. "No need." When she first took me in, Mrs. Taylor had said, "Children of the Taylor family are born to be the best, even if you are only an adopted son. The young master from the Harper household next door doesn't have to work this hard." Aunt Clara sighed and handed me my backpack. "Well, they've been lively over there all morning. I heard the whole family is planning to go abroad for a vacation during the holiday." I knew Aunt Clara was speaking up for me. Felt I hadn't enjoyed the kind of childhood fun one should have at this age. I stood up and took the backpack. "Aunt Clara, I'm not tired. This is what I want to learn. Maybe in other people's eyes, the Taylor household is hell. To me, however, it is not. The Taylor family is an old, established dynasty. The heritage and resources they possess are things nouveau riche families like the Harper clan could never match. Here, I can grow better. Even though the Taylor family's clan relations are complicated. The Taylors don't accept me. Mrs. Taylor is picky and cold, and Sophia is likewise distant and aloof. I was lost in thought when a snow-white kitten suddenly darted to my feet. Immediately following was an annoyed, angry male voice. Little one, you picked the wrong person. Come back. Emma, hurry and help me get little one back. Stupid little brother. I picked up the kitten and stood. My gaze met the girl walking toward us with a face full of doting smiles. It was Emma Harper. When Emma saw me, the smile on her face froze, her brows lowered, and her eyes instantly filled with disgust. You actually followed me here? You really are relentless. She sneered, showing her malice without disguise. Don't tell me you think I'll soften just because you're waiting here? In your dreams. Ethan, Lucas's surprised voice cut in, interrupting her. He walked up to me, smiling, and said, Great, I didn't expect to see you here after leaving the orphanage. Was that car waiting for you? He took the kitten and curiously looked at the car parked not far behind me. At that sight, his face suddenly went white. Ethan, you were really adopted by that Taylor family next door? I was about to answer when I happened to notice the keychain bracelet on his wrist, and my gaze froze. Lucas noticed my gaze, awkwardly drawing his sleeve down to hide the bracelet. I pretended not to notice and nodded. It's the Taylor family. So now you have the surname Johnson. You're called Ethan Johnson? I glanced at Emma, whose face was full of embarrassment from the misunderstanding. Are all the Taylors scary? I heard the Taylor family's miss is mentally ill and mute. Is that true? He pointed mysteriously toward the Taylor house and fired off a string of questions. I frowned. Just as I was about to object, Lucas didn't give me the chance to speak. Ethan, are you practicing shooting? He tilted his head, eyeing the mounted archery outfit I was wearing. I still have something to do. I was just thinking of finding an excuse to leave when Emma impatiently interrupted. Lucas, what's the point of wasting words on someone like this? Let's go. Lucas uttered an "oh" and scratched the back of his head. Don't mind her. Emma isn't usually like this. She's very gentle. I don't know what's gotten into her today. Emma, wait for me. He took off after her. I stared for a second, then turned around. Behind, Lucas and Emma's conversation was carried by the wind into my ears. Emma, the Taylors are way too strict. Ethan is the same age as me, yet he has to go to class every day. Look at all the bruises on him from falling. It's so pitiful. What's the use of him learning any of that? Some people just aren't born to have a good life. Our Lucas only needs to be as happy as the little prince in this life. Harper's son doesn't need to endure such hardships. Dad, Mom, and Emma are the best. Endure hardships? Really? It turned out the Harper family regarded hard work as hardship. I forced a smile. In my previous life, Mr. and Mrs. Harper truly doted on me, but they never approved of me learning any skills. I wanted to learn horseback archery. They objected. How could that be? What if you fall and get scars? Which noble family's daughter would look at you then? I was bullied and harassed by others, so I wanted to learn some martial arts. They also refused. Which young master from a noble family needs to learn this personally? The Harper family has bodyguards. No one can bully you. Later, I wanted to study commerce and finance. They also said, why learn so much? If the Harper family has you, Emma, that's enough. It looked like boundless doting, but in reality, they raised me into a useless person who can only depend on the Harper family. And Mrs. Taylor would tell me, people of the Taylor family should learn everything they can and fight for it. The summer vacation flew by in an instant. Before long, school started again. Mrs. Taylor had long since transferred me to the international school with Sophia. It was also the school Emma and I attended in my previous life. On the first day of school, I was sitting in the car early. When Sophia opened the car door, she greeted her with a bright smile. Sophia, Mom said we'll go to school together from now on. Sophia paused for a second before getting into the car. Then she sat down silently in the spot farthest from me. The next day, I did the same. The third day, day 4, and so it went on for 2 months. I unexpectedly discovered that, although Sophia never replied when I spoke to her, if I was late for breakfast and hurried out of the courtyard, I would find Sophia still standing by the car with her backpack, waiting for me. I hid my surprise and curved my lips in a smile. Sophia is really something. Every time at moments like this, Sophia would, as usual, give me a brief glance and, without a word, turn and get into the car. Just because. This time she stepped into the car with her right foot first. I lifted the corner of my mouth. Jinjin really has changed for the better. That day, after school, I waited in the classroom building for a long time, but Sophia didn't come out and her contact wouldn't go through. Just as I was anxious, a sudden flash raced through my mind. I suddenly recalled. At this exact moment in my previous life, a major incident occurred at the school gate. Back then, I was still buried in my studies, trying to catch up with the international school's pace. I vaguely heard my classmates buzzing that someone from the Taylor family had come to cause trouble. Apparently, there had been an incident with their son and daughter. Many years later, I happened to hear someone mention that Sophia, president of Taylor Group, had been maliciously disfigured back in high school. Could it be today? If it's true, damn, there's not enough time. I came to my senses. I quickly sent a message to the driver, Mike. Told him to come straight to us if he didn't see me at the school gate. Then I dashed toward the alley behind the school. Sophia, don't get hurt. When I arrived, Sophia was being cornered against the wall by several ostentatiously dressed young female ruffians, and among them were even a couple of gang-affiliated young men. Ha, Miss Taylor really is mute? No matter how you torment her, she won't cry out once. Mutes don't snitch. Do you want the Taylor family coming after you? Damn, that bitch dares to glare at us. With a face like that, she's obviously a natural seductress. One of the girls, who clearly looked like a student, spat and pulled out a utility knife, slashing towards Sophia's face. My heart tightened. Out of the corner of my eye, I glimpsed the baseball bat on the ground. I took a deep breath, steeled myself, then shouted as I rushed out. I've already called the police. I pushed into the crowd and swung the bat wildly. At that moment, I couldn't help but be glad I'd been taking physical training seriously lately. This group was caught off guard again, and for a time, I beat them into scattering in all directions. And because I said I had called the police, they hesitated. Damn it, count this bitch lucky. A few people cursed and left. When they were gone, I quickly ran over to check on Sophia. There was still a streak of blood on Sophia's face, though the wound wasn't deep. She had injuries on her hands and legs. Sophia, hang on a bit. I'll take you home. I helped Sophia up and started to leave, but I was suddenly thrown to the ground by a brutal shove. Damn it, Jenny. I told you this brat was lying. Even called the cops? TCH. You little bastard. You haven't even fully grown your hair, and you're already learning to lie. A mute and a compulsive liar. Perfect match. Ha. The person called Jenny was so furious that dirty words kept spilling out, and she kept kicking me in the back again and again. The pain made me bury my head, but I met Sophia's terrified eyes. My lips trembling, I forced a smile and murmured reassurance. Sophia, don't be afraid. Sophia's gaze froze suddenly. I shielded Sophia, refusing to step back. The fist behind struck down even more angrily, just as the next blow was about to land. Sophia, who had not resisted until then, suddenly moved. She lunged at the person closest to me and bit her hand fiercely, as if insane. Her sudden frenzy stunned Jenny and the others for a few seconds. But outnumbered, she was still pinned down. Several fists slammed hard in her head and body, and someone even pulled out an iron rod. Still, could nothing change the outcome? At the moment, despair seized my heart. Voices and footsteps came from outside the alley. Could it be the driver, Mike, has arrived? I forced my eyes open and looked, full of hope. In my line of sight, a pair of white casual shoes appeared. Their owner stood at the alley entrance, backlit. Jenny and the others immediately glared viciously. Stinky girl, what are you looking at? Girl, not driver Mike. I forced my eyes wide open. Tried to make out the newcomer's appearance, but it was smeared with blood, and she couldn't see clearly no matter what. At that moment, someone called to her from a distance. Emma, why are you standing there motionless? The strawberry cake is over here. The newcomer was silent for a moment. I'm coming. I blinked my dry eyes and whispered softly, Emma. The person's footsteps paused. In the end, they still didn't turn back, taking the boy's hand and slowly walking away. The boy couldn't resist his curiosity, glanced toward the alley entrance, and was immediately so frightened he screamed. Ah, Emma, it looks like someone over there is hurt. Did you see that? The next second, his eyes were covered. Don't look, it's dirty, Emma said softly. From afar, I seemed to hear her whisper. Lucas, in this life, I found you early. I will protect your purity. You don't have to endure the torment of the Taylor family any longer, to the point of ending your life hastily. In a daze, I recalled that in my previous life, before she died, she kept murmuring, It's all my fault. If only I had found you sooner. I thought she was talking about the time I was kidnapped by her business enemies while protecting her ending up seriously injured and disabled. Still choking, I soothed her. Emma, as long as you're by my side, it's fine. I'm okay. In the next life, we'll be together again. It turned out that the regrets from her past life had nothing to do with me. What she couldn't let go of was that day she stayed with me and therefore failed to save Lucas in time. So in this life, she chose to keep him by her side, guarding him with airtight protection. It turns out she didn't come here today to save me. She just wanted to see with her own eyes how this little thief of mine would be bullied in place of the white moonlight in her heart. But in my past life, I vaguely remember hearing classmates say, after the two Taylor children had the accident, Sophia was sent abroad. Lucas, however, was not allowed to go with them, and his treatment in the Taylor household declined significantly. A male classmate who knew the inside story hinted at it delicately. That day, he had seen Lucas abandon Sophia. Sophia fought to protect Lucas with her life, but when Lucas ran away, he didn't even look back. But Emma seemed determined that her idealized love was the victim. Huh. So, Emma really thought so. Lucas, how pure and kind was he? I gave a light laugh and wiped my eyes. Then I got up and clung desperately to one of their legs. No matter how he kicked me or cursed me, he refused to let go. Don't hit me, Sophia, until that breath could no longer be sustained. In front of me, plunged completely into darkness. When I woke up, a mass of dark heads were leaning over the bedside. The sharp smell of disinfectant. It brought me back to awareness. I'm in the hospital. It seems the driver Mike has rushed people here. I try to sit up. Perhaps the movement was too much and woke Sophia. She opens her beautiful peach blossom eyes and stares at me without blinking. After a long while, she raises her hand and touches the gauze on my forehead. Ethan, does it hurt? It seemed like she hadn't spoken for a very, very long time. Her voice was still a little hoarse, but not unpleasant. One could even say it was quite beautiful. But I was still stunned. Sophia actually spoke to me? I wasn't the only one startled. Even Mrs. Taylor, who had just pushed the door open, looked utterly incredulous. Did Sophia just speak? She lost her usual composure. Sophia, could you say a few words to Mom too, okay? Sophia only glanced at her, then turned back to stare at my wound, refusing to speak any further. I instantly felt a bit awkward, wanting to comfort her, but not knowing where to start. Mom, just now, Sophia. Mrs. Taylor shook her head, her eyes red. It's okay. Take your time. Sophia needs time. She didn't say anything more. Aunt Clara came in at just the right moment carrying a lunchbox. During lunch, Aunt Clara said the situation at the alley has been clarified. It was nothing more than a bunch of thugs who, hearing the Taylor family had money, got greedy. One of them was even a schoolmate. Those men are already adults, so they can't escape prison, and the student has been punished and expelled. I nodded and let my gaze fall on Sophia, who was quietly eating. Who would have thought? In my past life, because of a single twisted thought from these scum of society, such a wonderful person was dragged into the abyss. Fortunately, in this life, she is perfectly fine. Sophia saw I wasn't picking up my chopsticks and looked at me curiously. Ethan, I came back to myself and served her some food. Sophia, you eat too. We had just finished the meal. Sophia was taken back by the nurse Lily who barged in. Only then did I find out. She had run over from another ward. Before leaving, she stroked my head. Ethan, get well soon. Just a few simple words. They moved the Taylor family present to the point of tears. Aunt Clara also secretly wiped the corner of her eye. Sophia left. Mrs. Taylor didn't leave. She just stood where she was, watching Sophia's departing figure. She wasn't wearing makeup today. She seemed to have suddenly reined in her sharpness and looked much gentler. Sophia wasn't like this before. She was sensible, steady, and far more outstanding than many of her peers. Back then, everyone praised her as a prodigy girl, not as a mute, autistic. She sat down beside me, tears brimming in her eyes. All because of that accident 4 years ago. I froze. Mrs. Taylor said, Sophia once had a younger brother, Liam Taylor. Liam was the son of Mr. Taylor's younger brother. After Mr. Taylor and his brother's wife died in an accident years ago, the whole Taylor group was carried by Mrs. Taylor alone. Liam was also taken in by Mrs. Taylor and raised as her own son. Those were hard times for the Taylor family. Without Mr. Taylor, the Taylor group was like exposed fat. Everyone wanted a bite. Mrs. Taylor had a heart in her heart, her methods growing ever more ruthless, and naturally, she earned plenty of resentment. 4 years ago, the Taylor children were kidnapped. 6-year-old Liam saw Sophia being beaten, rushed forward and bit the kidnapper's hand and wouldn't let go, but was struck again and again by the enraged thug, heavy blows to his head. Sophia, who witnessed the whole process with her own eyes, after being rescued, never smiled again, never spoke. Mrs. Taylor tried every method, but to no avail. With no other choice, she followed a friend's suggestion and adopted another little brother to try. Mrs. Taylor stood up and went to the window. She said, "I'm not the first one who was adopted back. Sophia hasn't been this close to someone in a long time. She really likes you." 1 week later, I was discharged and returned to the Taylor household. The people around me treated me differently. If before they regarded me as an expendable adopted son who could be sent away at any time, then now they treated me as the true young master of the Taylor family. But my lessons did not decrease because of that. If anything, there were more of them. In Mrs. Taylor's words, "If you join Taylor Group in the future, how will you command respect without ability?" The Taylors around me were all stunned when they heard that. Their looks at me were wary and scrutinizing. I had no time to ponder. Instead, I looked towards Sophia in a panic, afraid she would be unhappy about it. But I found her propping her chin on her hand, stammering as she said, "Ethan, don't be afraid. You're the best." Looking at the sparkle in Sophia's eyes, my eyes grew moist. I nodded vigorously. Mrs. Taylor's eyes softened as well. "Sophia, you have to work hard too. If Ethan surpasses you, you'll have to rely on your younger brother to protect you." "No." Sophia froze for a moment, then immediately jumped up in panic. I'll protect Ethan." She even threw a series of punches right there. Ever since that incident at school, Sophia practiced martial arts more seriously. Mrs. Taylor and I exchanged a glance and snickered. Looking at Sophia's anxious face, I curved my lips. Mrs. Taylor once said, "Sophia, having you is her good fortune. In this life, coming to the Taylor family, how could that not be my good fortune as well?" Time flew. Under the devoted nurturing of the Taylor family, I became the other people's child many parents talked about. On the school's honor roll, my name would occasionally appear alongside Sophia's from the upper grades. By contrast, Lucas, who was a top student in his past life, was busy having fun and never made the list even once. Emma, who was a poor student in both lives, goes without saying. Besides, the families of Taylor and Harper were already estranged. It seems that in this life, Emma and I are destined to have no more contact. Just a few times by accident. While I was looking at the grade list, I caught sight of Emma standing at the back of the crowd, her expression shadowed and unclear. "Emma, what are you staring at over there? Our names aren't up there anyway." Lucas looked puzzled. "Nothing." When I turned back again, she had already taken Lucas and left. On a day like this, I turned 18 and was about to take the college entrance examination. As for Sophia, she accepted an invitation from foreign school 3 years ago. Now she is studying abroad. The day of my college entrance exam, even though I refused many times, Sophia dropped her research project and rushed back overnight to accompany me for the exam. Ethan's matter is the most important. I could only comply. Finished the last exam. I walked out of the school. From afar, I saw Sophia leaning against the car, wearing a white dress. Her radiant face drew the attention of many around her. My hope of staying low-key was shattered. As expected, wherever Sophia was, she inevitably caused a stir. She was no longer the mute girl everyone used to mock. Now she carried an exquisite, aloof air that could easily make the boys who brushed past her blush. I hurried forward to urge her on. "Sophia, hurry up and go." Sophia, though puzzled, obediently took my backpack. "Aren't you happy to come pick me up?" I didn't have time to explain, so I hurriedly pushed her into the car. "No, isn't there still the plan to meet up with our friends? If we're late, everyone will gossip." We had arranged for some friends we've known since childhood to get together, celebrating Sophia's return to the country and the end of my college entrance exams. After the party, those going together suggested taking a couple of laps around the racecourse. Sophia and I had nothing else to do, so we went along. Racetrack. A small recreational race was taking place inside. "Who's the winner?" Mia, a friend who was with me, looked up at the big screen and said in surprise, "Emma Harper? She returned to the country too? She races as well. Can she handle it?" Emma's results were average. Like Sophia, she didn't take the college entrance exam back then. The difference was that she went abroad and got a degree without real merit. After all, she is the future heir of the Harper Group, and people knew her, so for a while everyone paid attention to past. It seemed to be in response to our questions. The flashy red race car tore across the finish line. The girl stepped out of the car, squinting as she savored the roar of the crowd. Not seen for years, she had shed her youth. She had become increasingly like the her from the previous life. Her temperament has always been flamboyant. At the family and friends table, the boy in black casual clothes ran out, hugged the woman and kissed her. "Emma, you are so beautiful." The relationship between the two of them was clear. In my previous life, as the Harper family's publicly acknowledged adopted son, I ended up with Emma and encountered many obstacles. This lifetime, I don't know how Emma convinced the Harpers, but Lucas was not recognized as the Harper family's adopted son. Publicly, he was said to be the son of a friend temporarily staying with them. Now that I think about it, it was actually well-intentioned. At this moment, the handsome man paired with the pretty-faced girl set the scene alight even more. My friend Jack clicked his tongue. "It looks like the Harper family has booked this event today. Let's go change venue." I withdrew my gaze and was about to leave with everyone. A burst of commotion came from ahead. Emma and Lucas walked forward with their fingers tightly intertwined, surrounded by the crowd. The two groups unexpectedly ran into each other like that. Emma's gaze passed over the crowd and fell on me, a hint of astonishment flashing in her eyes. She froze for a moment. Then, as if reflexively avoiding impropriety, she let go of Lucas's hand. "Emma." Lucas shouted in dissatisfaction and turned to glare at me. "Ethan Johnson, what are you doing here?" He gave me a fierce glare. After not seeing each other for a while, his gaze toward me suddenly filled with hostility. I was just thinking it strange when he spoke again. "Could it be you heard Emma returned to the country and came specially to watch her compete?" Emma beside us froze at his words, then casually glanced over at me, as if to say, "I knew you would be like this." I was left speechless. Am I really that boring? Sophia also frowned. She stepped forward and stood between me and him, her petite frame seeming to hold boundless strength. Emma saw Sophia's move, her expression darkening, and finally spoke. In a flat tone, "Ethan, Lucas is blunt. Don't take it to heart." "Emma." Lucas refused, shouting, "Why are you being so polite to him? Who knows if he's following you on purpose?" "Lucas, enough." Emma interrupted softly, her gaze involuntarily drifting back toward me beside Sophia. "Even if it's true, at least give him some face." She was astonished to discover. "We haven't seen each other for years, and I've changed a lot too. The poise instilled by the Taylor family is something petty little Lucas can't compete with at all. Miss Emma, mind your precious little brother. Don't go biting everyone you meet." Some friends couldn't stand the way the Harper siblings behaved and snorted. Ethan came with Sophia to celebrate finishing the college entrance exam, not to watch some, your little skirmish-like entertainment match. The sarcasm in the remark was obvious. "What do you mean by that?" Lucas immediately widened his eyes. "Emma just took first place, and you actually call it small fry?" Emma's expression darkened slightly. She had always been proud and haughty, having just enjoyed praise for her victory. Being mocked now inevitably made her angry. "Miss Sophia, what a rare encounter in a place like this. That last match was indeed unsatisfying. Interested in a rematch." She ignored everyone else and fixed her gaze straight on Sophia. Sophia frowned and was about to step forward. I grabbed her and shook my head. I didn't want her to get entangled with Emma. Seeing this, Emma gave a chuckle. "I wouldn't dare, then never mind. The air of the Taylor group, that's all there is. Utterly provocative." The air seemed to freeze. The friends' expressions all turned ugly, but no one dared to stand up for Sophia. They do know that Sophia hasn't touched a racing car in many years. I, however, remained calm and let go of her hand. Sophia also raised her hand and, just like when we were children, ruffled my hair. "Want to see Sophia win?" I nodded and said with a smile, "Sophia, go for it." Sophia turned and walked toward the arena, not even glancing at Emma. Emma had never been ignored like that. Her face was so sullen it could drip. Putting on airs. She gritted her teeth and forced out a few words, her face dark as she walked toward her car. On the racetrack, a gunshot rang out. Emma's signature red race car shot forward, leaving Sophia's black car a good distance behind. The roar of the engines was deafening. If some people can't make it, go back to being obedient bookworms. If that doesn't work, find someone to marry early. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Lucas glanced at me and said smugly, "It's only just begun. What are you so pleased about? You're already behind at the start and still think you can catch up to Emma? Are you kidding me?" Those around them chimed in agreement. Friends stamped their feet in anger, but had no retort. I watched the track quietly, saying nothing, until, on a high-speed corner, the black car executed a textbook-level late brake into the turn, overtook the red car, and crossed the finish line first. The arena fell silent. Lucas was silent too. Someone in the crowd hesitated and said, "That person's way of taking a turn looks familiar, like last year's 3 Majors champion." Vigot. She spoke very quietly. She didn't seem to dare to be sure. I remained quiet, with no particular expression. When Sophia was 11, she won the International Youth Cup and was hailed as the young goddess of racing. Even though she had a break in between, she had long since reclaimed her status in recent years. Last year, she even swept the 3 major championships. She was just low-key and never showed her face. Few people had seen her true appearance. Sophia opened the car door, walked straight up to me, and reached out her hand. "Ethan, let's go home." "Okay." I smiled and took Sophia's hand. Behind me, it was Lucas's helpless voice of comfort, and Emma's face twisted nearly with fury. In the blink of an eye, the college entrance exam results came out. I'm the top scorer in the college entrance exam. I wasn't surprised. It was Mrs. Taylor and Sophia who were very happy. They said to wait until the university acceptance letters arrived. Then they'd take me on a trip abroad. I said there are still many classes left to finish. Sophia frowned. "Ethan, you're too tense. You should go out and relax a bit." Mrs. Taylor also said, "At the very least, the Taylor family will be your backing, understand?" I was slightly stunned, and I realized sharply. It seemed that since my rebirth, I've been pushing myself too hard. So it turned out, coming back to life and not being firmly chosen by Emma caused far deeper harm to me than I had imagined. So I pushed myself almost ruthlessly, trying to gain the approval of the Taylor family. Afraid, abandoned again, I looked at the 2 pairs of concerned eyes in front of me. A warmth bloomed in my chest. I still went along with them. The day we set off for the airport, we ran into the Harper family. Their mood didn't seem very good. Mr. and Mrs. Harper wore sour faces. Emma's expression was also faint. Lucas followed sullenly beside Emma, unusually quiet. Lucas cheated on the college entrance exam and had his scores canceled. Now the Harper family has become the laughingstock of the wealthy. Mrs. Taylor withdrew her gaze and said with a smile, afraid of losing face, "Look, before the semester even starts, they're already in a hurry to send people abroad, planning to put the matter to rest." I was a little surprised. Lucas has gone mad? What was he thinking being so bold? Given his situation, wouldn't it be fine to quietly obtain a foreign academic credential? Why take such a risky chance? Make the Harper family ashamed? I shook my head, too lazy to probe further. What does that have to do with me? When boarding the plane, I noticed a gaze fall on me. I turned my head to look, and saw Emma not far away. Caught her red-handed. She froze for a second, her expression complicated. "Congratulations, you topped the college entrance exam." "Thank you." I turned my head away indifferently. Emma paused for a moment, then lifted her foot, somewhat anxiously trying to follow. "Ethan." But Lucas grabbed her and wouldn't let go, glaring at me with venom. "Emma, he doesn't even want to look at you. Let go." Emma didn't listen and shoved Lucas aside. Lucas fell to the ground in embarrassment, the grievances he'd bottled up for so long exploding out. He didn't understand. Emma, who had always doted on him, lately had been so cold to him. "Are you regretting it?" "But clearly, you were the one who pushed him away first." Those words rooted Emma to the spot. It was my turn line. I didn't look back. I followed the Taylor family through the boarding gate. Hawaii. Here we come. Days passed day by day. Starting college, I kept absorbing new knowledge and gradually learned to transform the resources I had mastered. When I was a sophomore, I began assembling my own research team. Every member of the team was excellent, no worse than me. To support me, Mrs. Taylor handed over full operational control of a small subsidiary under the Taylor Group to me. The team's first project achieved very good results, pushing the subsidiary to a higher level. The following several research achievements further allowed the subsidiary to repeatedly catch up with the parent company. As a rising star in business, I began to enter various circles sight. When I graduated, Sophia returned to the country and officially joined Taylor Group headquarters. Many people were waiting to see the fight between the Taylor family's eldest daughter and the adopted son. They thought that Sophia would return to the country and go straight to headquarters, while I only inherited a subsidiary and would inevitably be dissatisfied. However, I was not. On the contrary, I fully supported Sophia. With the backing of Mrs. Taylor and me, and with her own outstanding abilities, Sophia quickly gained a foothold. At the same time, Taylor Group issued a statement that the subsidiary under my control would henceforth be separated from Taylor Group and renamed Stellar Group. That day, fireworks on the top floor of Stellar Group burned through the entire night. Sophia stood beside me. She said, "Ethan, you must remember, Taylor Group will always be the backing of Stellar Group." "That's not necessarily so." I smiled and said to her mischievously, "Who knows, maybe in the future Stellar Group will become the backing for Taylor Group, Sophia." Sophia also smiled and said, "Yes, Ethan is the best." I turned my head, staring at the neon beneath my feet. A corner of my mouth lifted. This is the deal between me and Mrs. Taylor. Stellar Group gave it to me, and I will always support Sophia. Only one subsidiary? I thought you'd want something else, like half of the Taylor Group. At that, Mrs. Taylor raised an eyebrow. Who knows, Mom might agree. No, I shook my head. What I want is one that belongs only to me, completely belonging to Ethan Johnson, who lives as a person. I firmly believed. Only what is completely under my control is controllable. As an outstanding graduate, I was invited by my alma mater to participate in a mounted archery competition, representing the school in competition. For me, a match like this was simply a rare moment of relaxation amid a busy work life. As expected, I easily took first place. After stepping down from the awards platform, the school officials surrounded me in circle after circle. I finally managed to break free, but someone called after me again. Ethan, Emma had also come. Come to think of it, this was our first meeting since she returned home to inherit Harper Group. She ignored Lucas's resentful expression, walked up to me, and there seemed to be a hint of nostalgia in her eyes. You're even more outstanding now. In her eyes, I saw astonishment, disappointment, and regret. Suddenly, I felt that this look was very familiar. From a previous life, I accompanied her to a banquet. As Lucas, the adopted son of the Taylor family, took the stage, he played a famous piece. At that moment, she looked at him with the exact same expression. For a moment, I almost laughed. Living life again, Emma's taste still hadn't changed. Always fond of it. What she couldn't have. Seeing the woman in front of me looking so dejected, I nodded politely as if greeting her. But my footsteps did not stop. She refused to let me go, standing in front of me with a troubled expression. If I say we can start over, you can still be my younger brother, or you could be my husband. I was puzzled. Does she think too highly of herself? I cut her off coldly. I don't understand what you're saying. If Miss Emma has too much free time, she'd do well to worry more about Harper Group. Emma's face immediately darkened. As far as I know, during this period, Harper Group fell into trouble, and its stock price plummeted. In the previous life, Harper Group had also suffered the same disaster. Emma cares a lot about appearances. At that time, I clung to the faint affections from childhood and pleaded before the she-devil Sophia. Only then did I obtain her help. This life, Emma, reborn, had indeed made some advance arrangements. Unfortunately, the foundations of Harper Group had long since rotten through. This time, without the support of Taylor Group, her abilities were limited. She couldn't hold it. Harper Group, it's dire. I was too tired to argue with her further. I turned and walked away. Ethan Johnson, Emma and I are getting engaged. Can you stay away from us and stop showing up all the time? Lucas, who had been ignored the whole time, went crazy and rushed over to block me. Emma grabbed him. What are you doing? Are you out of your mind? You can't help me with anything. Can't you at least stop making things worse? Emma frowned fiercely. Lucas staggered from the shove. He looked at Emma in disbelief at the disgust and disdain in her eyes, and finally that last bit of hope completely shattered. Am I the one making trouble? Lucas suddenly laughed maniacally, pointing at Emma, then at me. Emma Harper, you're regretting it now, aren't you? What? You think he'd be willing to come back to you? He's Ethan Johnson now. Who do you think you are? This time, you were the one who chose me. Why are you the first to get tired? I finally understood. So Lucas had come back after all. No wonder. No wonder he went crazy like that. Shut up. Emma glanced at me in panic and pulled Lucas up. Sorry, my brother made a joke at your expense. What did you call me, brother? We're about to be engaged, and you call me brother? Lucas persisted, shouting. Emma frowned but still forced herself to explain softly. Lucas didn't listen at all. The two of them argued even more fiercely. I pretended not to understand anything. I quickly left the venue. Not until I got into Sophia's car did I finally breathe a huge sigh of relief. She laughed and asked, "What's the matter? Is there a ghost chasing you from behind?" I nodded seriously. There really is. It's terrifying. Who could deny it? Even attending an event, you can run into them. What terrible luck. Stellar Group is growing rapidly. On top of that, with cross-industry collaboration with Taylor Group, the two powers have joined forces. The results have been remarkable. I became a new elite in the circle, the synonym of success. Now, when others mention me, it is no longer that adopted son of the Taylor family, but Ethan Johnson of Stellar Group. Instead, it's Harper Group. Far from what it used to be, I heard they sold off a lot of assets and even transferred a substantial number of shares. Even though I remembered the debt of gratitude from the previous life and restrained Taylor Group and Stellar Group, not throwing Harper Group further into the pit like the other families did. It barely managed to hold onto its foundation. I saw Emma once more. It was at a project bidding meeting. I was sitting in the judges' seats. Emma sat below with Lucas. She glanced at me from afar, then awkwardly looked away. The once-renowned Harper Group has now fallen to being just one of many bidders. I withdrew my gaze and stopped paying attention. During the meeting break, I went to the restroom. While washing my hands, Lucas appeared behind me silently. Let's talk. I glanced at him, wiped my hands, and walked to the lounge next door. He followed. You're actually back too, right? Does that matter? I asked. His footsteps faltered, and he raised his voice. Emma left you and chose me. Are you really not bothered? I said nothing, my expression flat. She pushed you toward that damn Taylor family. She knew full well that Mrs. Taylor is utterly hypocritical, and Sophia is no good either. Choose your words carefully. So now you're defending the Taylors. He sneered, his eyes venomous. Oh, I forgot. You're now the eldest young master of the Taylor family. The Taylors treat you like a treasure. You've got quite the tricks. Affection is mutual. You treat others how others will treat you. I replied calmly. All right. Do you know what I can't stand the most? That posture of yours, like you asked for nothing. For what reason? In your previous life, you were taken in by the Harpers, grew up in that happy environment, even married Emma. In this life, you ended up in that hellhole called the Taylor family, yet you still managed to win their love. Even now, it's you who stole Emma's gaze. Why? Where did I lose? I watched Lucas's crazed look and took a cautious step back. You're mistaken. Emma only likes you. Weren't they supposed to be getting engaged? He heard it and threw back his head, laughing loudly. Like me, but the white moonlight she can't stop thinking about is not me at all. It's the original owner of this bracelet. It's you. Ethan Johnson. She yanked the bracelet from her wrist, revealing a smile more ghastly than crying. Do you remember? When we were kids, you saved a drowning girl at the orphanage gate. She was so beautiful and dressed so richly. So when you went to find Director Mama, her family came. I pretended to be you and took this necklace. She said she would come back. I waited and waited, but I ended up watching her take you back to the Harper family. I just couldn't stand to see you happy, so I deliberately dropped hints in front of Emma. She was tempted too, but later he said through clenched teeth, I just accidentally had some information forced out of me, and Mrs. Taylor wants to drive me out. That pervert Sophia even wants people to beat me to death. She did it on purpose. She's still holding a grudge because I left her in the alley. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have run out and nothing would have happened. It's lucky everything can start over. But now Emma says she doesn't want to get engaged to me anymore, even though she used to only have eyes for me. I understood completely at that moment what Emma meant in her past life by find you sooner. Too bad. Lucas was still naive. What Emma could never stop thinking about was never me, Ethan Johnson. She loved the Taylor family's young master, whom she couldn't hope to reach, no matter whether that person was Ethan Johnson or Lucas Harper. In her previous life, Lucas was the Taylor family's young master. Even if he wasn't favored, that halo and cultivation were tangible, an unattainable flower on a high ridge. In this life, their identities have swapped. That unreachable gleam in her eyes shifted onto me. I looked toward Emma, who had appeared behind Lucas at some point, her face full of shock. I shook my head. You're wrong. What did I do wrong? Who are you to look down on me and criticize me? Lucas Harper. Lucas's rambling was cut off by Emma's angry shout. You lied to me? You useless piece of trash. If I hadn't chosen you, how would I have ended up like this? Her eyes were bloodshot, breathing heavily, staring fixedly at Lucas. A storm suddenly came. I hurriedly went out. She also closed the lounge door on the way. At the end of the corridor, Sophia stood there against the light, as if she'd been waiting for me a long time, yet without a trace of impatience. I hurried forward. Sophia, leave. Lucas stole internal documents from Harper Group and gave them to the rival. There was infighting in the Harper family, and it almost collapsed because Emma refused to agree to marry him. She even discussed with Mr. and Mrs. Harper about sending him out to form an alliance marriage to make use of his remaining influence. Lucas went completely mad, clutching a destroy-what-you-can-have mindset. He took an extreme route and threw himself at the rival family. Less than 2 months before the auction, I heard this kind of news about the stolen documents. I'm not surprised, whether my previous life or this one. Lucas's true colors really are like this. I heard about this from Sophia. If you've laughed, just let it go. Unexpectedly, something happened again at the Harper household. Emma was taken to the hospital. She was stabbed by Lucas. It is said, that day Lucas didn't run far. He was caught by the Harper family. The Harpers were soft-hearted and intended to talk with him, to persuade him to reform. Who would have thought Lucas not only refused to listen, but also drew a knife and lunged at Mrs. Harper, who had loved him since childhood. It's all your fault, you old witch. If you hadn't given Emma that idea, why would she refuse to marry me? Why would she let me marry someone else? Emma rushed forward to block him. Even if Lucas wanted to sheathe the knife, it was too late. Now Emma lies in the hospital, her fate unknown. Harper's family felt no mercy at all and sent him straight to the police station. Stealing trade secrets. Attempted murder. Lucas's remaining life. He would probably have to spend it in prison. 1 year later, Stellar Group officially listed overseas. The Taylor family held a grand celebratory banquet for me, inviting countless political and business celebrities to attend. I smiled politely and conversed effortlessly with the big shots from all walks of life. I was surrounded by people, receiving compliments. My gaze inadvertently drifted to the corner. I saw Emma, tense all over. Her gown was still exquisite, though the style was long out of fashion, and there were even signs of wear at the edges. I only glanced once. Then I looked away. The Harper family could attend the banquet. It was Mrs. Harper who begged for a visit. At a banquet like this, with so many bigwigs gathered, they wanted to seize the opportunity again. Mrs. Taylor, out of old neighborly ties, relented. The Harper household is now heavily in debt. Had already moved out of the Villa District. Ballroom time. I turned down invitations from many girls, taking advantage of the guests thinning out. I walked out to the balcony alone, wanting to steal a breath of fresh air. The evening breeze brushed my face with a chill. I was lost in a daze. Emma had quietly come up beside me before I knew it. Ethan, she stared at me foolishly. You actually came back too, didn't you? We've been together so many years, you can't lie to me. The night wind seemed to halt for a second. Her voice was very low. Back then at the orphanage, you could have acknowledged me proactively. We were once so in love. What? I turned around and looked at her calmly. I only wanted to choose a path without you. And you happened to do the same, didn't you? The sentence was like a cold blade, piercing Emma's heart with precision. She staggered back, her face as white as paper in the moonlight, her lips trembling. She wanted to say something to refute me, but found she couldn't utter a single word. Yeah, she was the one who chose a different path first. What other reason could she have? Question me? She turned around in a daze, her back hunched, as if all her strength had been drained in an instant, until her figure finally disappeared. I didn't take my eyes away. Ethan, the cold, clear voice came from behind me. I turned back and looked at Sophia. She walked over, subtly glancing toward the direction Emma had left. Then she handed me a cup of warm honey water. Tired? She asked softly, her tone filled with pure concern. I took the cup, looking at Sophia's exquisitely clear profile, then looked toward the banquet hall, where Mrs. Taylor was chatting gracefully with guests. I'm not tired. I shook my head, leaned down, and gently rested my head on Sophia's shoulder. Sophia, do you know? This life of mine has been truly good. There's a mother who may be strict, but who respects me greatly. There is Sophia, though small, who always stands in front of me, shielding me from wind and rain. This warmth is within reach. Utterly real. Those sufferings and betrayals have all become the past. This life, may I shine brightly.